Hello and welcome to another episode of Next Week in Gaming. Next week will be our July Week 5 edition, and as usual we'll be covering game releases, early access releases, reviews, interviews, giveaways and all that stuff. So first up next week we have a game called Kin, which is being developed by Tangerine Entertainment. This is coming out on Tuesday next week on the 28th of July, and it's a hack and slash dungeon crawler loot 'em up style game. This is going to be slightly different to your usual Diablo 2 Path of Exile games in that it's going to be a hell of a lot more colourful. So instead of your blacks and greys, it's actually going to have greenery, and it's set in a Viking area, so there's going to be a fair bit of snow too. Claims to have a unique crafting system, which a fair few dungeon crawlers claim to be unique. And the other key feature is that you'll have 6 units in your party, and they'll have a slowdown feature for combat. This means that halfway through a battle with enemies, instead of clicking things constantly, you'll be able to slow down time and tell your units whether to flank or to activate certain traps and other stuff like that. Also coming out next week is a game called King's Quest. This is coming out on Tuesday, and it's being developed by The Odd Gentleman. And this one's also being published by Sierra, the new Sierra since the takeover. This is a point-and-click adventure game. There's going to be a lot of puzzles involved, also a lot of death. It's going to be similar in graphic style to games like the Banner Saga, so that flat cartoony style, only it feels a little bit more 3D. So if you're familiar with games on the DS like Pokemon and Animal Crossing, it's that sort of art style. Alongside all of those puzzles and lots of dying, there's also going to be a story that's being told over 5 chapters. King Graham, the character who you play, will be relaying these stories as a narrator to his granddaughter Gwendolyn. There are also going to be 3 pillars to choose from, so basically the game is going to develop depending on which of these you choose, including bravery, wisdom and compassion, so this is going to affect how the chapters play out. Also dropping out sometime this month is Afro Samurai 2. This is a game being developed by Redacted Studios and again being published by Versus Evil. Instead of following the Afro Samurai, this game is actually going to follow his close childhood friend Kuma, the guy who wears the bizarre teddy bear thing on top of his head. So this game is going to be a hack and slash, and it's mainly focusing a lot on the slicing and dicing. So the game has apparently been improved in terms of the slicing, and they claim that it's the undisputed leader in dynamic dismemberment. So this game has had a story written by Jim DeFelice, the guy who wrote American Sniper, and it's got a soundtrack made by RZA. So all in all, it's going to be a very original title with hopefully a lot of good things going for it. Also releasing sometime this month is a game called Reverse Side. This is being developed by REEW Games, and it's going to be one of the first virtual reality supporting games on Steam. So this is going to be a puzzle style game set in space on the moon specifically. And the story is that back in 1972 somebody found some random extraterrestrials on the moon, kept it secret, and the USSR found out about it. You've been in orbit around the moon, and you've been asked to go down to the surface near Orbit, which is a station that's actually on the surface of the moon, and to try and see what's going on, except you crash land and you have to survive with your limited oxygen and general supplies. And there's also a crew that's still trapped under the Orbit station, so there's no direct relation to anything being said about horror. However, with extraterrestrials and underground on the moon, one can only guess where this one's going. Lastly on the release schedule for this summer is Shadowrun Hong Kong. This is the expandalone being developed by Harebrained Schemes that's going to basically dump you in a whole new location to all of the other Shadowrun games. And this expandalone also brings a hell of a lot of improvements and features. So alongside all of this new content, there's going to be new skills, weapons and everything that existed before. There's going to be new versions of everything. But they're also updating and revamping a lot of the things, including art, gameplay, inventory UI to make it easier for item management mid-mission, smoother combat engagement, and a ton of new enhanced audio. There's also a bunch of new things like new foci, and there's going to be another 15 hours worth of campaign in Hong Kong. And finally onto our review for next week, which will be Gamebrinus' Guild of Dungeoneering. The publishers Versus Evil very kindly sent us over a key for this, and this is the pen and paper style dungeon crawler, where instead of playing the heroes you actually play the guild that employs them. In this game you won't directly be affecting the heroes and controlling them, you'll be controlling the guild which sends them out on their quests. The dungeons will be randomly generated, as well as the monster and the loot in them, and all you'll be doing is hoping that they complete them so you can build more rooms and unlock more heroes. So be sure to check us out next week for the review on that. And finally, as usual, let us know what you've been playing in the last week and what you intend on playing next week in the comments section below. That's it from us at NextPowerUp. Join us next week for another Next Week in Gaming article. We'll see you next time.